Okay, so we've gone through essentially the machine startup, which again is establishing the cold start position or the origin of the machine coordinate system. So that's basically the reference point that the machine's going to make all of its motion from. Then we went through the basic operation of the controller. So now essentially we've seen the basic modes and we can do some things. One of the first things that we're going to want to do as part of setting up the machine is to establish the home position. Now when we did do the cold start routine, after the cold start function finished, you may recall that the controller asked us if we wanted to move to our home position. Now for the automatic cold start, I said yes, and I let the table move to a previously stored home location. And then when we went back and did it for the wrong power off, where the tables were not in the correct position for cold start, I told it no, and basically hit the manual button to exit out and not move to the home position. Well, what is the home position again? So the home position is basically another coordinate system that is determined within the limits of travel of the machine, but that's relative to the machine coordinate system or cold start position. So remember, machine coordinate system and cold start position, those are equivalent terms. They basically mean the same thing as far as the Fadal implementation of their control strategy has been put together. But the home position, that is a coordinate system from which all of our essentially setup values are measured from. So we're going to establish the origin of a fixture offset, say like the origin of a corner on our stock that we want to run our part from. That would be a fixture offset. That's going to be measured from the home position of the machine. Likewise, anytime that we set up a tool and we need to measure our tool length offsets, again, that's going to be set up from the home position of the machine. But we as an operator have the ability to set that home position anywhere we want to within the limits of travel. And that's good and bad. Anytime you have the ability to make a setting like that, it gives you some capabilities to take advantage, but also can set you up in trouble at some times too. Especially when you have multiple users using the machine. So what we like to do down here in our shop is make sure that everybody is typically setting up the home position in a similar location. And that position is with the x-axis set coincident with the machine coordinate system origin or the cold start position origin. So basically this spot right here, x-axis home position, is going to be the middle of travel of the table for the X. The Z-axis is going to be at the tool change position, is where it's currently at, and again that's going to be the same as the cold start position. But we like to move the y-axis forward because this is a fairly large machine, large table, and it's a far reach or a deep reach to get in to do setup on the machine vise. So we like to shift the table out towards the front so it's easier to reach to do setup. And that's where we want to establish our cold or our home position at. So let me show you how you go through and do that. What I need to do is essentially go into jog mode. So we are in jog. Now I want to move the table out to the front, which is going to be moving it in the y-axis. So here we'll use this controller or this selector switch here. We're going to be in y. Let's go ahead and just switch it to our large increment. And then we need to move the table out towards us, which is going to be sending the spindle in the positive direction. I can run it all the way out to the limit of travel, and here we are at the limit of travel, 12.5 inches from the center line, essentially where we're at. But we don't want to set the home position at the limit of travel. The reason being is when we return to the home position, the machine is going to do that move at a rapid travel rate. So it's going to be running at rapid travel, essentially times whatever override value has been established. But if the machine bumps up against the end of the travel limit, it'll trigger an e-stop, an automatic e-stop on the controller, which then you'll have to recover from. So we don't want to do that. And remember, this is a large table. When you get cruising at rapid travel rates, there's a lot of momentum, a lot of weight on that. The machine has to basically stop. And if you set it right at the limits of travel, you can bump up against that edge. So we want to give ourselves a little bit of cushion off of the limit of travel. So I usually tell you guys to give yourself about 100 thousandths from the cold start position, and use that as the location for the Y-axis home position. So we've jogged ourselves into position, and now we just basically want to store or set this as the location for the home position. So I'm going to press manual to get me out of jog mode, and here I'm at the enter next command, and this is one of the commands that you need to actually remember that you're going to have to type in. So in order to set the home position, I type set H for set home, and I push enter. And then there we go, it's established our new spot. Now, notice if I go into jog mode, instead of Y showing 12.4, now it's showing 0, which is our verification that, yeah, we have reestablished the origin of the home position at this spot, and recognize that our location that we see in jog mode, we're jogging from the home position. So these values are all of these relative to the home position. If I was to go in and change the home position again, then when I came back into jog mode from there, I would be reset at 0. So everything is relative to the home position. That's where we're doing all of our essential setups and motion tracking from. Okay, now let me show you how to get back to the home position once you've started a program or jogged around for doing setup. So I jumped out of jog mode. Let me jump back in, and in our case, we'll just randomly jog the axes to some other spot. So let's take the Y-axis, maybe near the limit of travel on the negative side, clear up there, and we can go ahead and change to X, jog continuously, in this case, get it up there. Let's jump to Z, and then come down thousandths of an increment, and I'll just step it down a little bit, about right there. Okay, so here's a scenario where we've done some setup, and we want to get back to our home position. To do that, go to manual, and there's two methods I'm going to show you. The first is going to be returning the home position using the menu system. So spacebar, I'm going to keep pressing this until I see the home axes option, which is right here under the functions submenu, and it's option 4. So I'll press 4, and then I want to do return to home. So option number 1. And here we are, basically throws me into, now we're looking at auto mode. So we talked about auto mode earlier. This is auto mode, essentially ready to run a program. I'm in the waiting state, and so as soon as I press the start button, it's going to move at rapid travel rates from its current position back to the current position here, back to the home position. So we can press start, head goes up, and the table moves. There we go, back to the home position. Okay, let's go back and do that again. This time I'm going to go and jog, and again, let's throw our x-axis off some distance, and y-axis again, and we'll bring Z down. Okay, and now I want to send it to home position one more time. So I'll get out of jog mode and press manual. This time I'm going to do it using the commands, so through the enter next command prompt. Spacebar till I get there, went too far, and then I'm going to type HO and press enter. And And there we are, right back to the same screen that we were at before. Okay, now at this point, I want to take a time to kind of talk about this screen, because what we are, again, we're seeing auto mode one more time, and it's give us some indication of what's going on. Again, we're flashing waiting. As soon as I hit start, we'll begin motion. This is our current location, but down here in this box is basically displaying our distance to go. That means how far an axis needs to go to get from its current location to the target location in the program. So there is a program that this machine is running. It's kind of running behind the scenes, so it's not visible right here, where in an actual program run mode it would be. But what the machine is going to do, and you saw that in the previous segment, it's going to move the head up first. And right here we have a Z value of 11.0197 inches, and that means that the head has to go that distance to get back up to our home position origin. And that's going to be the first motion that it makes. And then once that's complete, then we'll see values show up here in X and Y as the table moves back to the position. So I'm going to hit start and let that go up, and then from there I'm going to actually pause it midway. So start, the head begins to move. I'm going to hit slide hold, and now the head has paused. Our distance to go has changed. We have less distance to go now, and our Z value, our current location of the Z value, has also changed. So that is tracking where we are currently at. So this is how slide hold functions. Basically, it allows me to pause, check things out, make sure I'm not going to run into anything, and if all things are good, then I can continue by pressing start again, and then it will continue to go. And I can push slide hold as many times as I want. Keep going. There we go. Likewise, I can pause when it starts to move the X and Y axes. And at that time I did it down here off of this button. Same functionality as that. We have a pause, and there you go. Distance to go displayed for X and Y on those two axes as well. I'm going to change my rapid override rate. So we were at 25%, and now I'm going to jump to 100%. And hopefully you'll be able to see the difference in speed of the table. So when I hit start now, it's going to go from rapiding at 25% of rapid travel to rapiding at 100% of rapid travel. And here we go. Here's the start. Starts off a little bit slower and then gets there quite a bit faster. So that is the effect of start and slide hold, essentially while the machine is running a program, and the impact of your override on your rapid travel. Okay, that's essentially all the components you need for setting the home position.